My name is Mathilde. I'm 24 years old. I'm a graduate student studying bioresource engineering, which is a fancy word for agricultural and environmental engineering. And I make videos, mostly vlogs, about my daily life as a graduate student, of me working, doing my extracurriculars, working out, skincare routine. So yeah, mostly vlogs, but occasionally I'll sit down and make a sit-down video like I'm doing today. One of my most popular sit-down videos was a why you should cut your hair pixie style. So as you can see, I have a pixie, very short hair. And today I'm going to be talking about my experience, my undergraduate experience at McGill University. So before you keep watching, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and also, my bad, I'm running my dishwasher, so once in a while it'll make a loud noise. Okay, so to begin, I'm going to give a bit of background on McGill University. Before I dive into this, I'm just going to give you a bit of background of myself as well. So for those who know, or don't know actually, I'm a French citizen. I was born in France, and then I moved to the US when I was 12, and eventually I became a US citizen. Why am I telling you this, you may ask? Well, it has a big reason as to why I picked McGill University. So McGill University is in Canada. More specifically, it's in Montreal, which is a major city in the province of Quebec. As you may know, Quebec is a French-speaking province. However, Montreal is very bilingual. There's a lot of people, as they call them here, Anglophones, so people who speak English, and Francophones, people who speak French, and then there's people like me who are bilingual. So one of the main reasons why I went to McGill University is because of its location in Montreal, because I am both fluent in French and English. Oui, je parle français, je suis née en France, ma première langue est le français, et oui, j'ai un accent français de France et non pas du Québec. So just to translate that, I'm like, yes, I speak French. I was born in France. French is my first language, and I speak like a French person from France and not like a French person from Quebec, i.e. my accent is French from France. French from France, French from Quebec are not very different, but there are differences. So that's one of the main reasons why I chose to go to McGill University, is because of the bilingual aspect. Another reason relating to my French citizenship is because in 2014, when I started school at McGill as an undergrad, there was an agreement between the government of France and the government of Quebec, where if people from France that were French citizens came to Quebec, they would pay the same amount of tuition as a resident of Quebec, and vice versa. If someone from Quebec went to France, they would pay as if they were a French citizen. And that was a great deal. It was way cheaper than going to school in the States. It was even cheaper than going to school in States. And I really wanted to not go to school in state. Just for reference, my parents live in Kansas. I went to high school in Kansas, and I just wanted to get out of there. Kansas is a nice place for high school, but I wanted to expand my worldview. And also, I've traveled so much growing up that I didn't really want to stay in the Midwest. And just so you know, this whole agreement between the French government and the Quebec government it's still there, but instead of French citizens paying Quebec tuition, they pay out of province. It's kind of the equivalent of paying out of state. So they don't pay international fee, but they pay a bit more than they used to. But anyways, I made the cut. I came the last year where there was that agreement. So it was a very good deal. The third reason why I came to McGill University in terms of location is because I have an uncle who's been living in Canada for 10 years, and he lives in Quebec City, which is the capital of the province of Quebec. And it's a 3 to 4 hour drive, depending on traffic, from Montreal. So I had family there, and at the time also my cousin, who's not his daughter, but who's also related to him, we're all from the same side of the family. My cousin had recently moved to Montreal. So long story short, I knew people in Montreal, and that was also a big reason, because other than that, I didn't know anyone else. So McGill University is actually regularly on the top 3 list of best universities in Canada. So it's kind of like University of Toronto, University of British Columbia, and McGill that are always fighting for the top 3. Sometimes McGill is number 1, sometimes U of T is number 1, etc. And McGill has a nickname. It's known as the Harvard of Canada. So it has a very good reputation, especially for medical school, law school. It has a very special space program, like space law program. It's also very good for the sciences. It's a public university, so there's a lot of different disciplines. Like you can go into arts, you can go into science, you can go into medical school, you can go into law school, you can go into architecture. And so there's also that. It's international reputation. Yes, it's very international. There's people from all over the world who come to McGill. So I actually did not go to the main campus of McGill University. So for those who don't know, McGill University has two campuses. The downtown campus in the Montreal downtown core, which is a gorgeous campus. I'll insert some pictures. People compare it to Hogwarts. It's a mix of like more modern buildings and more ancient looking buildings. And in comparison to Concordia, which is another big university in Montreal, it actually has like that campus style. It's not just buildings sprawling through, like just like scattered through the city, which if you like a real campus, McGill University might be for you. I went to Macdonald campus. So Macdonald campus is actually located in Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue, which is approximately a 45-minute ride from downtown, but with traffic it can go up to like an hour and a half even in the worst winter traffic. And it's in the West Island, so Montreal is located on an island surrounded by the St. Lawrence River, if you didn't know, and Sainte Anne is really at the tip of that island. And it's a small little town, and Macdonald campus is actually home to the Faculty of Agriculture and Environmental Science. It has programs such as dietetics and nutrition, which these two programs are highly renowned. So if you're interested in food, go for Macdonald campus. We also have food science, which also kind of relates to nutrition and dietetics, but a bit more on the like food development and food innovation side. So actually I have a acquaintance slash YouTube friend. Her YouTube channel is Vegan Paradise. I'll link it down below. She also went to goes to Mac campus, and she studied in dietetics. So actually, if you're interested in that program, you should go check her out. So then there's environment, environmental science, but the program name is environment, which is the one I studied. And actually this one is housed in the Faculty of Agricultural and Environmental Science, as well as a bunch of other faculties downtown. So it's a very interfaculty program. There's environmental biology, there is global food security. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, like agronomy, bioresource engineering. I might be forgetting some. So most programs basically revolve around agriculture, the environment, and food. So if that's what you're interested in, Macdonald campus is a perfect fit. Macdonald campus is a much smaller campus. So downtown, I think there's approximately 40,000 students, whereas at Macdonald campus, there's like 2,500 about, that includes undergrads and graduate students. So it has more of a like smaller community feel. I think my high school might have had slightly more people. So definitely when you're walking around campus, you do recognize people a lot, but you can still, it's still, because there's such a diverse background of people, it's not a problem that it's a smaller campus. It's even kind of nice because there's a more community aspect downtown. Downtown you can really get lost and you're more of a number, but here at Mac, professors tend to know you if you've had them several times, because class size is smaller. And also the other very nice thing is Macdonald campus is in a more rural slash suburban area, but really rural and like really more rural. And it's just very green. The campus is gorgeous, especially like in the summer and the fall. I'll have some pictures here. But it's also gorgeous in the winter. The snow stays white and glistening, whereas downtown it gets disgusting and green. Well, maybe green, but like gray and like gross. Green, that means something has been peeing in it. But anyways, and Mac, it has a bunch of like really cool hidden treasures. We have greenhouses, we have a farm. So the farm is divided in like the dairy slash animal area, which is over a bridge that goes over the highway, but it's really close to campus, but it's a bit detached, a bit like a couple, like maybe 10-15 minute walk to go to the student farm. There's a research farm area that's a bit further down as well, where they do like a lot of like fertilizer and seed research, just a lot of different things. And there's also the horticultural center, which is actually where I work. The horticultural center grows produce. It's not certified organic, however, because that costs a lot of money. However, it is in practice organic. Like, they don't spray pesticides or anything like that. And they have a market called the Mac Market, and that's where I work. They sell baskets to students on Thursdays and Fridays. Like, for $20 you get a bunch of food. Actually, this and the squash and this pumpkin are all from the Mac Market. I work there. I still will buy stuff from them because I love supporting them, but also sometimes I get to like snoop in some vegetables and stuff, especially the ones that look a bit more ugly but that are still fully edible. I get them, so that's amazing. And we have the Kaylee, which is our student bar. It's amazing. Before COVID, every Thursday we would have Kaylee nights. A lot of country music gets played there. It's a lot of fun. You get to know your friends. And my boyfriend actually is the bar manager, so it's kind of nice to get like free drinks and stuff. But yeah, it's a really fun place. And we also have our cafe area where a lot of people will gather. So there are some pros and cons obviously with Mac campus. One being we don't have a lot of food services on campus, and we just have like one cafeteria, which doesn't have a lot of options. However, we kind of almost share a campus with the college. So college in Canada is like more like, it does, like here university and college are different things, whereas I know in the US they kind of use interchangeably, so I just wanted to make that clear. So we have their cafeteria that we can have access to, but other than that there's not a lot of cafeteria space. But I would like, the cafeteria is the main gathering spot on campus, with the bar area, which the bar area becomes a study area during the day. I know that's kind of funny, but we do have, however, a student club called the Out of Garden Project, which it's like dietetics students and nutrition students that cook really healthy, mostly vegan meals, and they're for a very affordable price, and they're volunteering. It's really nice. So that's one big thing about Mac campus, is because everyone is like studying the environment or studying food or like agriculture. Everyone kind of has like a passion for anything to do with those topics. Like, there's a lot of foodies on campus. There's a lot of people that are very passionate about the environment. A lot of vegetarian and vegans compared to like other places where you go. I myself recently became a vegetarian again. Yes, I was a vegetarian for a whole summer, then I stopped, and now it's been a month that I haven't had meat. So on campus there are two main residences. There's Laird Hall, which is your typical like residence. You have a room that you share with a roommate, or you have a single room and you have different floors. Like I said, there's only one cafeteria on campus, and it only runs during the week, during like, you know, work hours. So what happens in the residences is that each floor has a big kitchen with many stoves, and everyone has a fridge in their room. Like, each person has a fridge. So people have to learn how to cook, and that was a challenge for me my first year when I was in dorms, because I was in dorms for 2 years, is that I had to learn how to cook, and that was an added challenge on top of like any challenge you face as a first year, which I will touch more of next. But on the other hand, it's kind of fun. You get to really bond with people, because as we all know, cooking and food is a huge bonding experience on our campus, but especially on our campus, but it also is like in general, like people bond over food. So that is one thing. And then the other campus that we have, other residence that we have is called the eco residences, and they're not that eco-friendly, to be fair, but anyways, that's the name. And they're more like apartment style residences, where you either have 6 people apartments or 2 people apartments. And I never personally lived in there. I had a friend who lived in there. She liked it. It's a bit more pricey, but you have more personal space. Like, you have your own bedroom, and you share your kitchen with like 5 other people or 1 other person, instead of like a whole floor of people. So it is easier to maintain like the cleanliness. Now I'm going to talk a bit more about my experience as a student there during my undergrad. I'm going to talk a bit about my first year, So my first year, when I first came, I was 17 the first week on campus. And actually at McGill, we have this thing called Frosh, which is I was gonna say 1 year. No, unfortunately not. It's a 1 week orientation event. But because the drinking age in Quebec is of 18 years old, it involves a lot of drinking. Unfortunately, I was 17-year-old during my frosh. However, it didn't stop me from drinking, but kids, don't drink underage. I don't want to encourage that here on my channel. Although, in your real life, you can do whatever you want. Just, yes, I'm not going to say on camera that you should drink underage. Anyways, it was a lot of fun. At Mac, we have drinking events, but for students that can't drink, like 17-year-olds, we have alternatives. For example, we had a pub crawl. However, for people who couldn't drink, we had a cafe crawl, which was a lot of fun. You got a lot of food. However, I sneaked into my pub crawl, but don't do it. Don't do what I did. Anyways, and we had also some fun events like a canoe race. We went zip lining. There was like a beach day where we went to like this beach on a lake, and it was a lot of partying. It was just a lot of fun, and you get to meet people. Unfortunately, to be honest with you guys, I didn't really vibe with my frosh group that much, so I didn't really stay friends with them afterwards. However, I did meet people from other frosh groups, because you're divided into different groups under frosh leaders, which are like older students that did a training to like you know, have everyone like get to know each other, and also to like supervise us if we get too drunk or things like that. So I met people from other groups, and they became some of my best friends. They're some of my best friends to this day, even though we don't see each other a lot. So that was my first year. However, my first year, even though that first week was a lot of fun, my first year was really rough for different reasons. So I'm gonna have to give a bit more background for you to understand like why it was hard for me. So basically at McGill, you either come in as a freshman or as a U1, which is a very weird, so you have, if you're a freshman, you're a U0 or year 0. If you're a U1, you're a year 1. So basically, in Quebec, they have this weird, well, not weird, just a different system called the cégep system. So basically, you finish high school in grade 11, and then you go to school for 2 years at a cégep, which is a college. So I remember I said college, university, not the same thing. And basically, during these 2 years, you do all your gen eds and you get them out of the way. So then by the time you come into university, you go directly into your program. However, for international students like me, you have to do all your gen eds. Hence why you're called a freshman / U0, and you take your gen eds. And if you get some credits from like IB or AP, you might not have to take all your gen eds. So I came in and I had credit for biology. However, I did not have credit for calculus, chemistry, physics. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And because I was in a science program, that's all I could take. And I feel like in Canada, it's a bit more like you go into your program, like you take gen eds for your program. Like I didn't have to take like an English, like they don't make you take an English class or like a history class, which I missed a lot, because although I love science, I do love history and literature and other things. So it was very hard. I was really bad at calculus. I was really bad at physics. I was pretty decent at chemistry. And it was just kind of depressing because, you know, you're going into university and you want to study what you want to study, which for me at the time was biology because I wanted to go into vet school. But as you all know, because I'm not in vet school, I have changed my trajectory. And so I struggled a lot with my classes. I didn't like them. And I struggled with a lot of loneliness and homesickness because my home was like literally thousands of kilometers away, and I'm used to being in a household with 3 other siblings, or I was used to being in a household with 3 other siblings, so I really missed my family. And my first semester, my roommate and I, we didn't not get along, but we weren't friends. She was just like a stranger, so it was just very stressful. And all my friends lived on the 3rd floor. So fortunately, second semester, I was able to move to the 3rd floor and change rooms and be with a roommate that I actually was friends with, and it was a lot of fun. However, so here comes the second part of why my first year was very hard. I started experiencing generalized anxiety, which I wasn't diagnosed with until my second year of university, but we can talk maybe a bit more about that. And I also had like horrible insomnia. Meaning I would go to bed around 10 or 11, you know, like a normal time, and I would lay there until maybe 4, and I would fall asleep crying and sobbing because I was so exhausted and so stressed out for the next day. And it started to affect my everyday life. I couldn't go to class at times because I was so anxious and exhausted and I couldn't focus, and I started skipping specifically calculus because it would like trigger anxiety attacks in me to think about that class. So I ended up failing my calculus course, which was extremely heartbreaking for me because I'd been a straight A student pretty much all of my high school career. And it was calculus 2 that I failed, by the way. I passed calculus 1. I did more than pass. I think I got a B or a B minus. I don't remember, but I did fairly well. But calculus 2 was a nightmare. My social life was still pretty good. Like I said, I had a great group of friends. We would cook dinner together and sit at the dinner table and talk for hours. I had a friend, actually 2 friends that were pretty good at cooking, and they would always cook us meals. Sometimes we wouldn't have to like cook for ourselves. We would just like buy some of the ingredients and they'd make it for us, which was amazing. And I have such good memories of just, like I said, chilling in the kitchen till like late on a Friday night and then watching a movie, getting drunk together, and like amazing. But it was overshadowed a lot by my anxiety. So now I'm going to talk a bit more about the rest of my experience the following years and internships and my program a little bit more. So in my second year, I finally went into my program after I went through Gen Ed. And you may ask, so what about the calculus class? I ended up taking it not the first summer after university, but the second summer. And but in the meantime, I was able to still start my program. So I decided in the end to switch into environment. It's a weird, awkward name. It's environmental science, basically, with a specialization in biodiversity and conservation. And I loved my program. Even though I struggled through some courses, I loved it. So it's environmental science. So it was mostly science oriented, mostly a lot of ecology. So I can give you some examples of classes I took. So I took some boring courses like organic chemistry, which in the end I ended up liking, I guess, Stockholm syndrome. But I also took like organismal biology courses. I took ecology, population and community ecology. I took phylogeny courses, and like evolution courses. I took ornithology, so like bird science. Oh my god, I loved. And no, bird science classes are not bird classes. You know, like bird classes are usually like easy classes. No, it's hard. I took a conservation course. I took, all those are like my sciencey courses. But environmental science is very interdisciplinary, and what's amazing about the program at McGill is because, like I said, it's housed in the Faculty of Agricultural and Environmental Science, but also in like the Faculty of Law, the Faculty of Arts, the Faculty of Arts and Science, and the Faculty of Science downtown. You can take classes on Mac campus and on the downtown campus. So I was able to take some anthropology courses. What else did I take? I took some like environmental research courses. I took some economics courses. So I was able, because the problem with science sometimes is that as scientists fail sometimes to recognize that some scientific issues also have social implications. And obviously environmental degradation and climate change have huge, social implications. So it's very important as an environmental scientist to be well-rounded and understand the social aspects and also the cultural aspects, because as we all know, people that are most threatened by climate change are indigenous people, people of color, marginalized people, poor people. So it's very important to understand the social issues behind them. So that's why I absolutely adored my program. And speaking of which, I took a lot of courses downtown, especially in my later years, and those were amazing. And that's also something that I loved, is I got to experience the big city. My second semester, my third year, I lived downtown with my boyfriend in his mom's duplex, and so I got to know the Montreal scene a bit more, all the bars, I'm not a nightclub person, but so I'm not really nightclubs. Oh, I did go dancing at this one nightclub called Café Campus with some of my friends. That was fun because we just danced and we didn't get any creepy men hitting on us, at least that night. I know apparently Café Campus is like a lot of people get hit on, which even if I didn't have a boyfriend, I don't really like being hit on at a nightclub. Anyways, I completely went on to a different topic. So yeah, my program, I absolutely adored it. I can make a whole like video about my program if you're interested and on why you should go into environmental science. So now going back a bit more to my experience, my second year I lived in the dorm. My second year I lived in the dorm as well. I lived in a single room. It was a bit different because I was older and there were new students, so I felt a bit excluded at times, but that's also the year I met my boyfriend. Hi there, I'm editing this video as I'm eating popcorn and drinking beer and look like a mess. I just wanted to say I was not looking for dating in college. I had a bad experience with the guys and stuff my first year, and I met my boyfriend like totally by coincidence, accident, I don't know, we had a friend in common and we're still together. But I just want to say, like, don't use college to find like guys or girls or whoever you date. If it happens, it happens, and it happened to me and I'm so grateful. But like, I focus on friendships, focus on school, which I did before I met my boyfriend, and even after. Like, I was always like, friends were always important, school was always important, and it happens to be that I found a great person and we're still together today. But I was not expecting that to happen. It just kind of happened. Yeah, so I just wanted to add that note. I met my boyfriend who came from the Cégep system and went directly into his first year. So we were at the same stage because he came for his first year as well. It's just he didn't have to take the U0 courses. And from there, honestly, like, meeting my boyfriend in university, I never planned that would happen. That 5 years later we would be living together, we'd be speaking of marriage and our future, and like, after, because he's also doing his grad school right now, after grad school we want to find a job or a PhD, or maybe one of us PhD, one of us a job in the same city, because we're set on living together and having the rest of our lives together. I mean, you never know, right? Like, things could happen, people break up, but like, I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon. Anyway, so I met my boyfriend, and in the later years I also made a lot of new friends because some of my friends from my first year, they transferred programs and went to the downtown campus, so I didn't see them like every single day. I would see them on weekends and stuff when I would like crash downtown Montreal at their apartments. But I met a lot of different friends on Mac campus, and we had a great group. We would go drinking at the bar on Thursdays and also on Wednesdays for happy hour. And now on the topic of internships, I did a lot of internships throughout my undergrad, and I really recommend it because I formed connections. I learned a lot in some of my internships. I learned a lot more than in some of my courses because it was very hands-on. My first internship was at the Insect Museum of McGill, which is on Mac campus. It's actually, there's this building called the Centennial Center, which is like the student life building, and I had an internship in their basement where they have the second largest collection of insects in Canada. My internship was, I learned how to identify flies, which sounds boring, but actually what's very interesting about flies is that they are a huge important group of organisms in the Canadian Arctic, and I didn't know that. So that's something that I learned that I would have never, like, I took flies for granted. Like, obviously it's not a house fly it wasn't house flies that we're looking at. It was like a specific family, Impetidae, if anyone's curious. Then my third, like, it doesn't matter when it was, but I did an internship at the Bird Observatory of McGill where I learned how to band migratory birds. So what scientists do to band migratory birds is they put a metal band around one of their feet. I think usually it's the left one, but I could be wrong, it was a while ago. And it's just so if you recapture them somewhere else, you can track like their movements. I also learned to identify them, to handle them. It was an amazing internship. I did another internship for this company called Écoquartier, I think it's a non-profit, and they send out students to different boroughs or suburbs in Montreal, and let's say like your city or that you're sent to, a municipality has something they want you to do concerning the environment, then it's kind of like contract work, but you're not really paid by the city, you're paid by the Écoquartier. But so I was sent to the Beaconsfield city, which is a suburb of Montreal, and my job with this other student was to go from house to house and educate people about an invasive bug species that is killing all the ash trees in America, and just educating them about it and telling them, hey, the city has a program to treat your trees, and explaining why it's important to make sure these trees survive for a lot of different reasons. And then actually from doing this internship, the last year, like the year after my undergraduate degree, like between my undergraduate degree and my graduate degree, I actually worked for the city this time, not for the non-profit that like was collaborating with the city, but actually like I was a city employee, and I was part of the people actually going out and inspecting the ash trees and determining if they were feasible for treatment. So that was cool to work for a municipality for their urban planning department. And actually I met one of my best friends, like we worked together all summer. So yeah, I think internships are really good because now I have contacts. It helped me get my master's to have like research experience, but also like working for a city government. So I really recommend doing internships, and I think this video is quite long, so I will end it here, but this was an overview of my time at McGill and at Macdonald campus specifically. I just wanted to say Macdonald campus has a lot of resources for students. It lacks a little bit compared to downtown. I will say one big con of Mac is that it's hard to get a doctor's or nurse's appointments because they're not there every single week. And same thing for like career services, like a lot of them are based downtown. However, since I've been here, I have seen an improvement. Because one thing I forgot to add is I did my degree. It took me 5 years to do my degree. Also because I did do an honors project. Oh, okay, maybe I'm not going to end my video here. Honors project being an undergraduate research program, yes. And I did it with my ornithology professor, and I looked at this technology called radio telemetry that they use to track migratory birds. So that was another research project that I did, and having research experience, I would say, prepared me for my master's. And I did a minor out of personal intellectual curiosity in geography, and that was amazing. That was my last year. I loved it. I also met one of my best friends called Catherine. She's from Wales. She was an exchange student in Montreal for a year, and we're still in touch. It's been 2 years that we've met each other. But yeah, I wanted to say McGill or Macdonald campus specifically lacks a bit of the resources in comparison to downtown. However, like I said, I've been here for now more than 5 years because I'm doing my master's here too. But I was there for like 5 years throughout my undergrad, and I definitely saw a big improvement in student services and student resources on campus, and they continue to improve. And now that I am on the Graduate Student Society at Macdonald campus of McGill, I will say that we're working very hard for student services to increasingly get better. So yeah, if you have any questions about McGill, about my time as an undergrad, about mental health in university, anything really, you can pop them in the comments. I will make more videos about some of these topics in the following months, and I hope you found this informative. If you're just someone that's looking into Mac campus or McGill University, or just someone in general that wants to know more about undergraduate life, I hope this was helpful, and I'm rambling on now, so have a great day and see you in my next video. Bye!
Baby, 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 you driving